What's the right price-earnings ratio? I'm thinking given a certain interest rate and a certain growth rate. It's a big problem. It's a difficult problem. I can't say I really have an answer, but I've thought about it a lot during my time as both a sell-side analyst and an investor. For a time during the run-up to the year 2000 bubble, we were a couple of guys who thought we had actually found the holy grail in terms of determining the correct PE ratio. We used the PEG ratio, and usually we said that around 1 is warranted. That's of course given that the earnings is fully representative of the future, and that the growth rate used in the PEG equation or PEG ratio is it's my dogs that are giving me some trouble. So if you have a price earnings ratio of around 20 and a growth rate of 20%, that would give a PEG ratio of 1, which was considered a reasonable price point, an attractive price point actually. Not terribly cheap, but definitely not expensive. Nowadays, if a company were to grow at a 20% clip, and you could assume that that would go on for a number of years, a PE of 20 would definitely not be enough. Maybe 40, maybe 60, maybe 100. Hard to tell really. So a PEG of 1 is definitely not the answer. And then you have the interest rate on top of it all. Even if let's say the price earnings ratio is 20, the growth rate is 20, but what about the interest rate? Let's say that's 20 as well. Well, the last time we had interest rates even close to 20%, the price earnings ratios were in the single digits. So it seems as if the price earnings ratio should also in some way be divided by the interest rate to make sense. And yes, I know about the Gordon growth formula and all that, with an R here and a G there. It doesn't really make sense in the market though, does it? I mean, have you tried it? Have you looked at it? Can anybody say that a discounted cash flow formula or a Gordon growth formula actually provides an actionable result, an investable result? I don't think so. Well, as I said, I don't really have an answer, but it's not PEG and it's not PEG adjusted for some interest rate factor. For one, because the earnings number very seldom is representative. Second, the growth rate is not sustainable. It's just that sometimes some investors invest as if they think the growth is sustainable. And thirdly, the interest rate, it doesn't really come into play when valuing companies or determining the correct multiple, because over time the interest rate tends to get back to a mean, and there isn't any how should I put this? It doesn't really matter what the interest rate is now. What matters is what it can be expected to be over the long term, over the entire duration of the effective duration of the instrument. And stocks, their duration is typically between 25 and 50 years. And the interest rate of today is definitely, or at least hardly, not representative of what the interest rate will be on average or at the end points of the coming 50 years. And there you have the other one, the big one. Well, it's not really that big, it's 40 kilograms or like 90 pounds, 95 pounds. Oh no, here she is. that's it. You didn't learn anything, but perhaps you learned how to reason yourselves.